Well, it's certainly a possibility. That's a quote from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell taking questions from lawmakers on Capitol Hill today, warning about a potential recession as the nation's central bank attempts to tame inflation. Powell's admission apparently not enough to scare off investors, though. However, the market remaining mostly stable today. Other signs of a contracting economy are out there, though, including the fact that some high-profile employers are now nixing job openings. Joining us now to help gauge where the economy stands and where it might be going, financial journalist Bethany McLean. We appreciate your being here, Bethany. All right, we've learned Goldman Sachs now doubling its odds of the U.S. falling into a recession by the end of this year. Is a recession inevitable?
Well, just to be clear, no one knows. It's really difficult to predict the future, and all sorts of things can happen between now and then. That said, I have trouble seeing how we can avoid a recession. The number of headwinds facing this economy are extraordinary, and the collapse in the markets itself has a rebound effect or a vicious circle effect in the sense that as the market falls, people tend to pull back on their spending, on their credit card spending, and that in and of itself helps further the increased chance of a recession. We also, some people are drawing parallels to the collapse of the dot-com boom back in the early 2000s, and that did lead to a really short but sharp and painful recession. And we have tech markets collapsing again today.
All right, so, Bethany, we also know some of the country's biggest companies, they're starting to phase out those job openings. We mentioned that at the beginning. So is this phasing out, is that kind of a real-world example of an impending recession?
I think it is. I think one of the things that has flown in the face of this idea that we're going to have a recession has been this incredibly strong labor market, right? You can't have a recession and have a strong labor market. Those two things don't go together. So that has been something that has been, this is a good sign. So these signs that employers are starting to pull back a little bit is pretty scary. And you already have some things underneath the headlines that point to a labor market that is not quite as robust. One thing is that pre-pandemic, some 600,000 women still haven't returned to the workforce. Another is, despite the headlines about the huge growth, 5% growth in hourly wages, when you factor in inflation, people are actually making less than they were a year ago. So we already have some signs that the labor market is perhaps more problematic than the headlines might lead us to believe. So yes, I do find these anecdotal reports troubling.
Wow, 600,000 women still not returning to the workforce. That's a huge number. Bethany, last question for you, and kind of asking you to predict the future a bit. How long could this economic uncertainty last at this point?
Again, it's unknowable. When you look at the past, we came out of that 2000 dot-com boom really pretty easily. Part of the reason, though, was that we had other assets that weren't collapsing, like the housing market. The Fed had room to cut rates then. Now, I just have trouble seeing where we go from here. The Fed can't cut rates because of inflation. The housing market is already at record levels. It's hard to see an easy path out of this. And I think one thing that really troubles me is how much of a bubble there were in asset prices and how much the Fed's increase in rates takes the bubble out of various markets, and then how that rebounds into the economy. And it's a big unknown. So I guess my basic answer to your question, I do tend to be a pessimist, so I should caveat that. But my basic answer to your question is I see a lot of negatives and I have a hard time seeing any positives.
Yeah, probably not an easy path out of this. All right, Bethany McLean, thank you for that. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.